Alright everybody, I think we're gonna make it. I think it might just work out this time. Anyway, greetings to another edition of Zebra Adventures. Today we're gonna explain to you, the audience, exactly what is in this bike and exactly what I did to make it so powerful. Alright, we're gonna get into the internals of the engine. I'm gonna give you a full diagram and full description and full detail what I did to this motor. Alright, and a lot of the stuff that's still classified, I'm going to keep it classified for now, but all the ones that I did back in 2006 are going to be disclosed today. So stay tuned, grab your popcorn, and enjoy the show. When I got this bike, it was pretty much all stock, and the engine started off at 200 cc's. And when I drove it around, I had a pretty good time with it. I had fun with it. But then I noticed just how slow as hell it was. Very slow. So agonizingly slow that even the smallest little scooters in town would outrun me, and it was kind of embarrassing. Because the bike at that time looked pretty expensive, but then you had these real cheap little bikes that would just pull away from you and start laughing and waving while they're pulling away. That was kind of embarrassing. So I had to make a change. So what I did at that time, I put a stroker pin in there. I put large bore kits and everything like that, and made the engine bigger, and now it's about around 288 plus cc's. The head was the most extensive part of this build. I put a lot of money into this head, and so much money, as a matter of fact, that it was worth more than the entire bike. The head work alone, just the heads, okay? So it's about, in Philippine peso, it's like 30 to 35,000, and US dollars it's about $600 to $650. A lot of things were done to this head, including racing valves, racing valve springs, nickel bronze alloy seats, nickel bronze valve guides, Teflon valve seals. So basically, guys, the way to make power on a car or a motorcycle is the heads. That's the secret. Not really the bore. The bore just maintains your speed at high rate of speed because it maintains airflow. But if you have heads that don't flow, it's going to limit your top speed, and that's where you get that topping out area where you're topping out on your bike and you're not going anywhere. Okay? So heads are key, and that's the reason why I put the focus on the heads on this bike and not really the bore. So we'll do the bore later, but the heads are my main focus, and the reliability of these heads are our main focus. I got to make sure that they last even while I'm daily driving, and even though when I run into an occasional race, which happens almost every day because somebody wants to be a hot shot or something. So anyway, and now as far as the valves on this head are concerned, the stock valve size is 26 exhaust and 31 intake. So now I've upgraded it in the past, that is, to 29 and 33, 29 millimeter exhaust and 33 millimeter intake. So in the future, the valves are going to get much more massive. To give you an idea of how massive, will be 35 millimeters on the new setup. That's massive. Next is the block. What did I do to the block? I'll tell you right now. So the block was a 70 millimeter bore, and the stroking pin that I put in there, as well as a brand new crankshaft, was an 8 millimeter stroke. So that's all I did to that. As far as the pistons installed on this bike, I installed Pitt's Bike racing piston. I installed a racing cam. Yes, the cam is only one lobe because this is a pushrod engine. It does not require more than one cam lobe. Other engines have dual overhead cams. This is not one of them. So this engine will not rev. It'll actually tug, and that's all it will do. So you have to make the most out of the heads and do the best with them, because you're not going to get the most out of the valve lift, because you will either bend push rods or you're going to make the valve float. In the future, when I start doing the heads again, and that's soon, I'm going to remove the original or the old nickel bronze valve guides and nickel bronze valve seats, and I will be replacing them with even better quality units, because it takes, what you call that, stainless valves can use regular valve seats, but titanium valves need to have nickel bronze valve seats because they will not reject heat, as well as steel valves when you're running a stock valve seat. So you have to have nickel bronze valve seat when you're running a titanium valve, which is what I'm going to be upgrading these heads with in the future. And I told you the valves are so massive that the exhaust valve is bigger than the intake valve that I have on it right now. So you could imagine how big the intake valve is, which is also classified at this time. I'm not going to disclose how big it is, but it is huge. Just put it this way, it's bigger than the size of a valve for a 350 Chevy. So in a motorcycle, why is that? Because even if you have a small engine, this bike will actually still be a deep breather regardless of the size of the displacement. Why? Because the heads flow so much. So all you have to do is pay attention to the exhaust and the head flow. Regardless of the CC, you can have an engine that actually pumps more air than an engine that's double the displacement but has stock valves. And that's why I want to use, or I'm using, titanium valves, nickel bronze valve guides, and nickel bronze valve seats. Recently, I heard there was a 4-valve head available for this bike, and I wanted to get my hands on one. But the problem was the cost was prohibitive. We're talking, it's about $1,200 or 60 to 70,000 pesos each. But that's not the problem. The problem is they will only sell 50 units of a whole lot before they sell you the head. So you have to buy 50 units of this. That's about $60,000, I guess. That's ridiculous. That's why I decided not to go that route, and decided to make my stock head with much more massive valves and much better boarding work. I'm also going to replace the stock springs with racing springs that have even more clamping force than the one before. Okay, now we finally get to the future mods section of this video and finalize the video. So in the future, of course, we're going to get some huge titanium valves installed. We're going to have racing clutch springs installed. I'm going to install racing valve springs as well, and an even bigger bore than before, which was 70 mm. So can you imagine, even bigger bore than 70 millimeters. Forged piston, which is going to be lighter and better than the one I have now, which is pretty good. And some more heavy porting with the head, and that should complete the mission of this bike. And the bike should be able to outrun anything approaching 400 cc's. I'd like to tell you guys thank you so much for watching the video. If you found it entertaining, fulfilling, and informative, please don't hesitate to share, subscribe, and like, and show it to your friends, and maybe they'll like it too. See you guys later in the next video. And one more thing, don't forget to click the notification bell on your home screen so you can make sure you get all the updates on this channel and all the new videos that I post and all the adventures that I go through in the Philippines with my bike. Thank you, thanks for subscribing, and thank you for watching.